Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon, depending upon your time zone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Danny, and I'm going to host and launch us into today's seminar, Predicting the Future with 3D and First Insight. Nicole, you can move us forward there. Great. So we're all very familiar with 3D and what it can do in terms of reducing sampling and speeding up development, reducing the amount of waste and increasing sustainability. So we're not going to talk about that today. What we are going to talk about is the additional options and additional capabilities and possibilities and potential you have inherent in these 3D assets, and what else that you can do with them once you've digitized your core product garment. The possibilities of using that throughout your business are really impactful and are a key part of a digital transformation. We're going to talk about that today. Nicole, you can zap forward and I'll introduce everyone. So this is the second part of a series of webinars that we're having, our fall and winter. Last week, or the previous episode, we discussed avatars and the various options that you have beyond the standards. And today we're going to talk about as I said, we're going to talk with First Insight and the ability to see ranges and test sample styles out before the first one has even been created, and certainly before you've even necessarily signed with your supplier and placed an order. And as I said, this is just part and parcel of a series of webinars that we have. Next week from now, we have additional one coming on. There you go, with Beyond XR, digital showrooms and remote collaboration after that, and finally, we're going to have a discussion with how to cost with using our 3D platform. So, to you, Nicole. So, as I said, we have a really exciting panel today. You can see Nicole up there on stage left, and she heads up our global pre-sales across Optitex and around the world. And we're joined today by our colleagues from First Insight, Peter Jevons and Danielle Bailey. And for those of you that don't know them, you're in for an exciting introduction. And I don't want to steal the thunder, and I know that you guys didn't join to hear me today. So just one more slide, I believe we have, Nicole, a little housekeeping. Yeah, so we're going to take questions, of course. We're quite excited to hear what you guys think. So at the end of the seminar, we're going to save time for that. So if you have a question that pops into mind, feel free to shoot it to us via the chat function, and we'll have it on record, and we will of course do our best to respond to it. The event is going to be recorded, so you'll be able to come back and view it later, share it with your colleagues, your kids, the in-laws, whomever. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Nicole. So.
Thanks, Danny. I think I'm going to pick it up from here. So good afternoon, everybody. Peter Jevons here from First Insight. Great to meet you, and thanks to the Optitex team for inviting us in to present today. I thought maybe we'd start with a topic that's at the top of everyone's mind right now, other than the US election, which is obviously the COVID crisis. And really, I just wanted to talk about how we've seen an impact in terms of a positive impact in terms of what retailers are needing to do in light of that situation. So here you can see some points that I think are very relevant to what we'll talk about today through the course of the presentation in terms of how First Insight and Optitex have been working together. So the virus that kicked off earlier this year has certainly meant that a number of retailers are having to accelerate their digital transformation plans. So typically, if they were looking to try and understand which products are going to resonate with their consumers, they would have used intuition or some historical information, which now, in light of the COVID crisis, has been distorted. So many retailers are starting to see that where they were planning to spend 5 years of transforming, they're now having to do that in 5 months. And you hear many retailers talking about that. So we're certainly seeing a great uptick in terms of activity levels with our customers and new customers who want to digitally test their products and are seeing value, particularly in testing those products using 3D images and the benefits that brings. So again, we're all about bringing data rapidly to retailers, to brands, to manufacturers, licensees, to help them make better decisions about which products to bring to market. One thing we have seen over the last few months is a change in behavior in terms of the way retailers test products. So we've seen retailers starting to test products they already have in store that they're trying to sell now because stores have been closed, which is slightly different to how they may have tested in the past, where they were testing, as Danny said, pre-launch. So they were looking to do something before they created a new collection. So we have seen a number of customers testing existing inventory for things like pricing to see whether or not they should be not discounting too much, which is the danger if you don't identify from your consumers what the pricing should be. So again, we're helping in those sort of areas, very much trying to help with the acceleration and the liquidation of existing inventory to allow retailers to bring in new products into their stores. Next slide, please. So let's talk about what First Insight do. So I guess the elevator pitch we always use is, what do? We help retailers and brands to only bring to market products that their consumers want to buy. And we do that, but as well as doing that, we provide unique insights on pricing, on buy quantities, and which market to go after in terms of targeting. So we are a next generation voice of the consumer digital product testing platform. And what we do is we test products. We then apply our own predictive algorithms, analytics algorithms on top of those tests to give our retailers and brands insights into which data will help them make the right decisions about best sellers, which products will win or lose in the market, what the pricing should be for those products where you don't have any history, how many to buy in terms of planning and assortment, and also who to follow up in terms of targeting the market. So that's what we do in a nutshell. Next slide, please. And we have a very simple process. So First Insight as a company, we were set up 12, 13 years ago with a market leader in the voice of the consumer product testing space. And we've developed a methodology that we've been using over that 12, 13 years to make sure it's really easy and really simple for retailers to engage with us and to get tests out. So not only is the process very simple, but it's also very quick. So what we do is we select some items. We connect with your own consumers or with a third-party audience. We create a game or a test of the products you want to test, and then we send a link to that game to your consumers. They complete that test, and Danielle will show you in a second what that looks like based on experiences of one of our customers. And then we apply our analytics to the results of those tests, and we give you that data to help you make more informed decisions. And all of that happens within 24 to 72 hours of starting the process. So it's a very rapid process. We don't need any IT involvement up front to get tests run. And the data we get back is very valuable. That data very much complements the work that your designers, your merchandisers, your buyers do, and your marketeers. So it's all about helping them to make better, more timely decisions, ultimately to help drive margin gains for our customers. So for all the customers we've worked with over the last 13 years, we've delivered between 3 and 9% gross margin gains. So again, in the current climate, I think most retailers are looking at anything that's going to help them drive margin gains and do that quickly, and we absolutely do that. And that process is greatly enhanced if you test those products using 3D images, which, as I said, we will show you in a second. Next slide, please. So I think before we roll into a very short video from one of our customers, I just thought I'd talk a little bit about some of our customers. So over the last 12, 13 years, we've worked with hundreds of retailers, brands, manufacturers, licensees, wholesalers. You can see here some examples. We work with very small companies, brands. We work with the big companies in the market, people like Kohl's in the US, people like John Lewis in the UK. We also have a very interesting and strategic partnership with Li & Fung. So we're part of their digital platform in terms of their global supply chain. And one customer we did want to talk to you about today, which again is a joint customer of both First Insight and Optitex, which you can see on the slide there is Marks & Spencer. So what we've got is we're now run a very short video, just a couple of minutes, and this is based on Marks & Spencer's talking about what we do as a product and how they've got benefits from working with us. So Without further ado, I'll hand over to Nicole to play the video. Thank you very much.
Welcome to First Insight, the digital product testing platform that brings the voice of your customer into the decision-making process.
M&S Clothing and Home is changing. It is essential we identify the right products at the right prices for our stores and websites. We have validated that there is a strong correlation between test results and sell-through. Tested products have a 12% higher sell-through than untested products. We firmly believe that First Insight solution provides our buyers, merchandisers and designers with invaluable feedback from our customers, keeping them at the heart of everything that we do.
Through online consumer engagement, First Insight gathers consumer data in real time and applies predictive analytic models to provide actionable insights that drive measurable value across your business. First Insight can help you identify winners, eliminate poor performers, price new product and make design changes. By investing in better product, you can reduce markdowns and improve margin. By testing early in the product development process, you can eliminate bad product at the concept stage, even before samples are created. You can reduce sampling costs and get to market faster with winning products based on consumer feedback. Better, earlier decisions mean better financial results. First Insight customers consistently achieve up to 40% reductions in time to market and a gross margin gain of 3 to 9%. Wherever you are in your critical path, whether it's for design, selection, pricing or ranking, we have a suitable testing methodology. As departments, you have to ask yourselves, what is it you want consumer feedback on? Whether it's print or color, new product categories, or ranking before sign-off, think about where you would most like your customers' input. You can use our insight to gain more confidence in your decisions. The predictive part of First Insight's tool is based on an AI-driven algorithm that separates the signal from the noise. Historical products are hidden within each test and are used to weight and filter consumer responses. Customers that respond positively to products that have performed well and negatively to products that have underperformed are weighted more heavily in the results. These customers have indicated that they understood how the category performed and would have shopped the way your customers did. In this example, the single and double-breasted versions of each jacket were tested. Single-breasted versions tested better than the double, and the two plain designs did better than the leopard prints. By testing an assortment like this, you can gain valuable insight that can help you rank your range. By using the First Insight platform, you can also test new packaging. Does packaging affect value perception? If so, how much? You can test how products are shot or get feedback on packaging before making any changes. By using the value score and sentiment feedback, the bedding team knew that this glow-in-the-dark kids bed set would be a success. Sometimes new product is a gamble. Why not get feedback from your customers before making decisions?
Great, thanks, Peter, for your part of your presentation. So right now, this is Nicole, and I just wanted to let you know that what we're going to be presenting right now is the live demo session, where we will show and explain how you can benefit the creation of 3D assets from development to design stage, and how those 3D assets can be utilized within First Insight. So now let's just go ahead and see how we can do that. As many of you may know, Optitex offers a full end-to-end solution that helps brands and retailers and suppliers utilize their digital 3D assets throughout the supply chain. Now, once the asset is created, or the asset is created within the Optitex solution, we can actually then have the possibility to export this information. For example, if we wanted to share it with the design team. So for example, if you wanted to export it to, let's say, for example, Adobe Illustrator, within Optitex, we have the possibility to export through our 3D Design for Illustrator plugin. And what this will do is it actually will export a package, it's what we call a design package, and that design package can then be opened up within Illustrator. So let's see how that's done. So as you can see here, we're now working in the Illustrator environment. And with that Illustrator environment, I actually have the 3D design that we saw within Optitex, and as well as the 2D pattern. So the tools that we can use are limitless, and this will give the designer endless benefits when working within this environment because they're working in their standard Adobe Illustrator environment. So that means that they could use any of the tools that they're used to working with. So now let's just see a few of the things that we could do within Adobe Illustrator with the 3D Design for Illustrator plugin. Now, one of the things that's really interesting within this version is that we have the capability of changing the materials. So for example, if a designer wanted to use a different texture material, I'm just going to show you here that what we could see is sometimes the texture very close up. So you see here, we can apply the different texture of the fabric. So if I wanted to change the texture, I can just go in and just choose a list of different fabrics. So for example, if I wanted to use the Georgette, and now we'll be able to see within the 3D, we'll be actually able to see this type of fabric with the transparency because that's the texture that we've been using. Now, if you wanted to be able to see also the high quality rendering of the trims, we also have that within the library. So if I wanted to change all of the color, I can actually go into the library and change it for another type of red or purple or whatever the color I want to use within the system. So we'll actually be able to recolor that individually if we wanted for the stitches and for the part of the zipper. But the objective here is that we have this capability to be able to change very quickly and easily within the design and environment, and always staying within Illustrator. Now, if I wanted to be able to use, as I mentioned before, all of the tools that we could use within Illustrator. So for example, if a designer wanted to be able to test a different design with a different placement print, for example. So now the objective here is they can actually bring in any type of graphic or image within the Adobe Illustrator environment and then be able to update and see that simulation within the 2D. So now we'll actually be able to see it here. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we'll actually be able to see it within the updated window. So as you can see, the designer can then place all of the print design or vectorial designs within the 2D pattern and then be able to see it within the 3D. Again, this is a great advantage because this allows the designer to be able to see in real scale what is the print size or where is the placement within the pattern. So now this gives the designer endless limits, or it's limitless for them to be able to create their designs and see what those graphics would look like. If we wanted to as well, we could even go in and do a print design. So if they have to test any type of print design or graphics or details, we can actually update that as well by filling the 2D pattern and then being able to update it within the 3D window. So again, the designer is always working in the Illustrator environment and they're using any of the tools that they require. So now from here, with the advantage of working in this environment with the 3D, again, it's limitless. So we can even have the possibility of just to show you of where we can move away from the 2D CADs, which the designers are very used to working with, and then be able to work into the 3D CADs. These are images that were exported within the 3D Design for Illustrator plugin, and then we could actually apply this here within the Illustrator environment. Or if we wanted, we could actually even share this with First Insight, and they'd be able to upload this information onto their site. Or if I'd like, what we could also do within this environment or within this the design process is we can actually even bring it back to Optitex and then be able to simulate it in what we call photorealistic. So now with photorealistic, it's going to give you the higher end quality rendering so that we would be able to see the design with more high quality. So I can actually pass it over. And then what we could also do is be able to generate all the different colorways. So within here in this environment, we can actually see with the avatar, we could actually export the 360 simulation and be able to see all of that information and then export that data as well. If we wanted to, we could actually go and look at, for example, this trench coat. As you can see here, we've now passed it over to the photorealistic rendering. And then now you see, we can see all of the details of the buttons and the shadows. And then if I wanted to, I can go through and within Optitex, we can actually create all of the different colorways. So for example, if this trench coat had 3 or 4 different colorways, we would actually be able to see it within the photorealistic rendering and be able to pass it through and then generate the images. So once those images have been created, we can then share that within First Insight. So the objective here is then what I would be able to do is be able to generate those images. Okay, so then say, for example, now I would go here to be able to export the images, and then I would be able to export them all at once. So for example, if I had 10 different colorways and I wanted to export all those different colorways in different views, for example, the front, back, right, top, and bottom, I could do that as well. Or if I wanted to actually export the 360, which would be able to give us, for example, generating a GIF file, which you'll be able to see in the presentation afterwards, we would actually be able to generate those images. So again, this allows us to be able to generate all of the images that we require and then be able to share that information within First Insight without even having to create a physical sample. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pass the hand to Danielle, where she can actually show you the presentation with these actual products.
Thank you, Nicole. So I'm going to show you an example of how Optitex can be used in the First Insight software. So this is what a customer will see when they receive an email, and this can be sent out via brand CRM database or using third party. And the images can be tailored to what brand it is and what exactly it is you're testing, so different garments or different gender. So as you can see, this is a 360-degree moving avatar, and we can have up to 5 different images per item in the test, and we can test as many items as you would like. The customer can click on and see all the different angles of the 3D design, and also click on it, zoom in to see the details a bit better. So on the right hand side, we include the title and any product description that the brand wants to include and inform the customer of, and this can be fabric composition, special finishes, anything they want to inform the customer. Then customers playing the game, they can slide along this pricing scale here, what they see the product to be valued at, and then they ask what do they think. So this is in sentiment, from hate it all the way to love it, and then they can leave a comment. So this is just a general tell us what you think of the product, but this can be tailored to be like, what do you think of the color of the jumpsuit, what do you think of the zip of the jumpsuit, and then you can move on to the next one. So as you can see, it gives the customer a very good view of the garment versus what a 2D flat CAD would show. So it gives them a lot of information. Click through, and also shows the proportion on the body, which you don't get through 2D flat CAD. Show example. I'll just show you with the trench coat that Nicole was showing. So this hasn't got the moving avatar, but still showing each angle of the trench coat. So it gives the customer, it's almost like testing the actual real life sample. Here what I did is I tailored the comment box. So what is your opinion on the colour of the coat? So again, this is changeable. Like so like I said before, you can have as many test items in the test, but for this demo, it was just a few. So now I'm going to talk more about Optitex and the partner that they have with Marks and Spencer's. So I am the account manager for First Insight, and I look after Marks and Spencer's. I've been on the account a couple of years now, and M&S have been using Optitex since 2019. And what we found is that customers are more engaged when we use 3D CADs rather than 2D CADs, because they see a full 360-degree view in proportion on a body, so they get a better understanding of what the garment actually is like when they're playing the game. And then because of this, we see higher value scores, and also customers are leaving more comments, which is great feedback for the teams at M&S for them to be able to make their design and product decisions. Additional benefits to this also, there's less need for physical samples, so it saves costs, and also reduces the time in the product development cycle, because you're not waiting, if you're changing a design, you're not waiting for the next sample to arrive in order to test it. You can just change the design in the 3D CAD. So it also reduces the lead time. So First Insight have been successfully working with M&S for 5 years now, since 2015. And we help to support them with their selection and ranking decisions, as well as helping them to identify any pricing opportunities that they may have. So through our test, it helps them to eliminate the poor performing products and invest more confidently in the higher performing products. Tests are done quickly and through different stages of the product development, so all the way from design to selection and ranking, and tests are done quickly, and we can get valuable, actionable feedback to M&S in as little as 24 to 72 hours, so they can be reactive and they can make decisions quickly. Another benefit is through the customer engagement in our tests. We channel additional revenue for the brand through the Shop Now button at the end of the test. So that's an additional benefit. So these are just a few of the examples and benefits that M&S see working with First Insight and Optitex. And actually, we've seen an increased usage over lockdown in CAD testing and testing at M&S, which goes to show how important digital testing and customer insight really is, especially in this current climate.
Thanks, Danielle. That's very informative. I really appreciate that. So just to sort of wrap up the First Insight piece, I think it's probably worth saying, as Danielle said, M&S have, I think, 22 million Sparks customers in their database, and we're obviously focused on working with a subset of those customers to give them very valued feedback in terms of what they're doing. And recently, one of the other things we've seen M&S start to do is not only test their new products for next year, but they're starting to test their continuity products as well, because there is value in working out where a product is in its life cycle, and digital product testing can help you to do that. So just to sort of summarize First Insight, why us? So I mentioned right at the start, we've been in business for 13, 14 years with a market leader in digital product testing. In fact, our CEO claims that we invented the term voice of the customer. He reminds us of that regularly. So we brought that concept, voice of the customer testing, into the market. Over the years, we've worked with hundreds of retailers, all of which we've helped to deliver 3 to 9% margin gains. As part of the service we provide, people like Danielle and the team work with retailers and help them to deliver value and get the best out of the tool and build this into their operational processes. One of the key things we haven't really focused on today, but we would do in a more detailed session, we actually don't just predict what's going to succeed in the market and what the price should be. We actually track the decisions that you take in the tool, and then we match the results of sales against our predictions. And that's how we know we are the most accurate and predictive solution in the market. We actually have a methodology that allows customers to validate that the results they get are in line with our predictions. We've got the leading technology. We've been doing this, as I said, for a long time. We use artificial intelligence and machine learning to continually refine our algorithms, and we have millions and millions of data points we've built up over the years. I guess another thing to consider, particularly when you're scaling the use of a tool like this within an organization, we are recognized by the industry analysts, people like Gartner and IDC and Forrester. So they recognize that we are a leader in this space. And in fact, one of the things we've seen certainly over the last few months is we've been expanding the areas where we test. So we're testing not only in retail, but we're testing in other sectors as well. So CPG, and other markets, again, where people see value from testing products. Another key thing, I think, in the current climate where people are faced with less resources is we're very quick to get started. So you can get the solution up and running in a matter of a few days, and then you can be getting results from tests within 24 to 72 hours. There's no need for any integration. We can very quickly bring in 3D images from people like Optitex into the solution and get those tests out for you. So there's no need for integration. Although some of our bigger customers, people like M&S, they are looking at integrating into other platforms like PLM. So you may well at some point want to start to do that and automate some processes to make it easier to do. But we're all about making it easy and quick for you to get started, and that's exactly what we'd like to do. So I didn't say that up front, we're a global business. So we have solutions that are running in, I think it's 38 different countries. We've got 28 different currencies within the platform. So again, you can test globally and do that at scale with us as the market leader in this space. So that was all I plan to say around First Insight. Thanks for listening. I'll hand back to Danny now, I think, to see if we have any questions from the audience. Danny, back to you.
Am I unmuted? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, Danny, loud and clear.
Brilliant. And I will just share my webcam. There we go. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, everybody. And yeah, we have a bunch of questions. Nicole, we have a question here about how long does it take to learn the 3D design for Illustrator plugin? But Nicole, you're on mute.
Yeah, hello. Sorry about that. Yes, so the training time is approximately 2 hours. 2 hours for the 3DDI plugin, and then we have an additional hour for mentoring. So it's very easy. Once the designer or the graphic designer already knows Illustrator, it does help. And from there, the onboarding is very, very fast.
Excellent. And there was a follow-up question, and yes, you do need to take the 3D content from the Optitex platform. It only supports the Optitex platform. Okay, so now we have a question for Peter. Does First Insight work for all categories and all geographies?
Absolutely, it does. So we started out in apparel, so we have many customers in apparel, footwear, but we've also moved into other categories like jewelry and then homeware, and we've even tested some food packaging. And I think, as I said, Danny, recently we've started to move more into the broader sort of experience management market. So testing CPG products, we tested some wine recently, some branding for wine. We're testing cosmetics, we're testing automotive and even financial services, because testing products, it doesn't have to be just apparel products. I think it's all about products and testing how consumers feel about products, and you get a lot of value from that. So again, we're seeing a lot of expansion of what we do into that broader experience management market.
Excellent. I'm sure you enjoyed the wine testing part.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got a smile out of Nicole when you said that one. Great. But maybe we'll do a follow-up to that point, Peter. And what cost and time benefits have your customers seen in product development from the use of your platform? And what impact has it had on sample production?
Okay, that's a good question. So I think we mentioned a couple of times during the presentation. So the overall benefit of using the technology for all of our customers has been 3 to 9% margin gain. And obviously there are a number of things that make up that. But I think one of the key areas is reducing time to market. So I mentioned the partnership we have with Li & Fung, and Li & Fung, using the old method of testing, if you like, and bringing products to market, typically it took them about 24 weeks to bring product to market, because you're producing a physical sample, you're having to get that out to market, test it, and then make it. By using a 3D sample, so no actual product, you can reduce that 24-week time to market down to 3 weeks. So you can take 21 weeks out of the taking the product to market time scale, but also reduce the cost and the need for the sample in the first place. And one of the other great benefits of testing, of course, is in some cases with footwear, for example, you have to buy machinery or configure machinery to actually produce the shoe. So if that isn't going to sell, why do you want to do that? So, reduction in machine costs, reduction in sample costs, reduction in level of inventory, and reducing the time to market. And that's without getting more accurate around pricing and being able to drop those underperforming styles, that long tail we call it. So cutting the long tail, reducing the 20% of products before you launch them, not afterwards when you wish you'd had that knowledge before you took things to market. So just a couple of examples there of some of the benefits, Danny, of the technology.
Brilliant. Yeah, we've been working with Li & Fung for many years, and we've had the pleasure of working with them and working with you guys also from that side around the globe with them.
Yep.
Very exciting what they've done. So Nicole,
Yes.
What are the main differences of using the exported images from 3D design for Illustrator or the photorealism, our PR3D platform in the Optitex, I'll call it the Optitex standard 3D platform?
Yeah. So within the 3D design for Illustrator, those images are what we call high quality rendering. So it does give you the textures, it does give you the simulation of the material, but not as a photorealistic quality. So what we've done is what we've used actually the exports of those images from 3D design for Illustrator with it for other customers is they've used it for, let's say, for example, a quick range review, or if they wanted to use it for First Insight because they didn't have the time to create the photorealistic images, they'll send them the high quality renderings of 3D design for Illustrator, so that they have a faster reaction time so that they could see those results. So in that case, they would use the ones for 3D design for Illustrator. But then if you wanted to do, as we did in this presentation today, to show the customer, direct customers, more high quality rendering with the shadows, with the details, even with the avatar in different positions and poses, we could do that more within the photorealistic. So that's where we would use it within Optitex.
So there's a quality level and a resolution for each use case, right?
Yes, exactly.
It
always depends on the requirements from the customer.
Right. And if you're doing something early on just to gauge whether you like it, no point in making it photo realistic. Brilliant.
Exactly.
And one follow-up, which versions are we supporting today of AI? Which AI versions are we supporting today?
Yeah, for the 3DDI plugin, we are currently with AI 2020. Now we're going to be moving over towards AI 2021 as well, because it's just released. I believe it was released maybe 2 weeks ago. So now our development team or R&D team are now testing it because unfortunately Adobe doesn't give it to you ahead of time. They only give it to you, they only release it on that date. So you can't test it like before it's released. So we have to, it's just been released, so we're testing it and it should be ready by hopefully by end of December. So for Christmas, it would be good.
And we also support AI 2019.
2019, yes, at this moment, yes. AI 2019 and AI 2020, but then going forward will be AI 2021.
Okay, so great. Now we're going to go back to our colleagues from First Insight. Daniela, Peter, what's been the biggest benefit to your customers from using your digital tools in terms of speed, cost, sustainability, some combination of them?
I think it is, Danny, you're right. I think certainly sustainability is a theme that we see more and more that people are testing to understand what happens there. I think ultimately, even before COVID, people were looking in retail, were challenged to try and grow their margins. I think that the whole of retail was struggling prior to COVID. And I think all this has done, as I said right at the start, has accelerated the need to try to make those good decisions. So if you've got limited money, you want to spend it wisely on products that people want to buy. You want to price those products correctly to maximize your margin. You want to reduce waste. I think it certainly everything that we've talked about today, that they all play into that, growing margins, which is what we're about. And I think doing that with a very quick implementation time, with a minimal amount of effort on behalf of the customer, and providing some really high quality data quickly to the designers, the merchandisers, the buyers, the marketeers, to help them make the right decisions to take the business forward. I think the reality is, in the world of retail, if people don't implement this sort of technology quickly, they may not be around in 12 months' time. So the projects that are going to take a long time to implement, good luck with starting those, right? Because again, it's going to be hard to find the resources to achieve that. And I think the combination of 3D and digital product testing is a great approach you can take that will deliver short-term value when really we're all working at the moment in very sort of short-term cycles, aren't we?
Yeah. Excellent points. And there's a question here about the operationalization of First Insight. How much work is required to onboard a new customer?
Okay, Danielle, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so it's very minimal work. We have a team dedicated to help new customers and throughout. So I work with my First Insight colleagues at M&S. So there's a team of 4 of us, and we try to make it as easy and pain-free as possible for them. We support them throughout. We build the tests for them. We're constant community. We offer them what we call a white glove service. So it really is very minimal. I'm sure Peter can back me up on that with the other customers we have as well. We try and offer them as much support as possible, so it's easy for them and they get results really quickly and they find it really valuable.
So I think the experience of our team, Danny, is worth mentioning. So we do have a good team, and I think we also have two business models. So we have if you like, a large-scale customer model. So someone like M&S will have, a lot of hands-on support, but we also have a small, medium-sized business model as well, where people can do self-service. So again, because not everybody's big, or it may be a brand inside a bigger company. So we're very agile, but we've got experience to train people, get them up and running. And again, I guess the key thing for us is we want to make sure we show how you deliver value from what we do, so that the quality of our people are there to make sure you train people quickly, they get value from the tool, and we're showing how we pay back. Because any SaaS software, I'm sure you find the same thing in terms of Optitex. If you're not delivering value, people switch you off. So you've got to be constantly showing value. And I think what's interesting for me is that certainly 3D and product testing are two of the key technologies, from a digital transformation perspective, that should be on everybody's horizon, and many companies are looking at them because they are transformative and you can get the benefits very quickly. So I think that's why it's certainly worth people taking a look.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and I think we're going to have one more question, and Danielle and Peter, it's actually a follow-up to the last one. In terms of implementing First Insight and getting those first results, how long does that typically take? And then Nicole, I'm going to ask you there's a follow-up to the follow-up to you about the same points.
So in terms of implementation, I think I've said we're very light touch. So effectively, we've got many cases of customers signing a contract with us 1 week and kicking off their project and getting results the next week. So it's a couple of days to get oriented, and it's 24 to 48 hours to run the test and have the results. So literally within a few days, you're getting value and results.
Yeah, in terms of actually setting the test up and running the test, we can do that within the same day, and for results the next day, it can be as quick as that.
Fabulous. And Nicole, what type of journeys are Optitex customers seeing from moving over to our platform, and how quickly?
Well, I think the ones that have, as what Peter had said at the beginning, the ones who have already begun the 3D journey early on before the whole COVID, they had less of an impact, because they were already on that 3D journey. So it was much easier for them to say, okay, now if I don't get the sample, it's okay. I'm already working in 3D, so I can already simulate, so I don't have to worry about that. What was a big transition was for those customers who didn't have 3D and who are wanting to get on to 3D because they need the samples and they can't get those physical samples, and they need to do it digitally. So, I mean, the feedback has been very positive, and the turnaround, especially for those customers, like what we try to do with the project is we start off always with the block library of a customer. So that means that any of the block styles or the styles that repeat from season to season, they know that might just change maybe a print or a graphic, or it might be a slight change within the design. If they already have that 3D asset already created and they're using it within Illustrator, with the 3D design for Illustrator, it's very easy because all they need to do is just interchange the colorway. They can interchange the graphic, and then they already have the simulation. So that, and in a matter of an hour, maybe not even, they could have that whole collection already done, compared to having to send it to the supplier or having it to get it cut and sewn, as what even Peter was saying about for footwear, to have to do all of that and having to actually have those assets and then to be able to test them and know if they're going to be successful or not. At least being able to test these items digitally, you can react really much faster to the time to market, and without even having to utilize or use assets or use information or creating those actual physical samples. So you're reducing that drastically. So I think for us, for those who have already begun that journey, it's great. And we are now having more customers who are wanting to join even more now. So because of the whole COVID, but yes, definitely. That journey will take a little bit of time, but they will be able to see the benefits in the short term and long term as well.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Okay, so guys, we're gonna close down the session. I'd like to thank both our panelists, our colleagues, and of course, everybody for joining. And we hope that it was educational for you. And as a reminder, we do have another 3 sessions coming up. One will be next week from today. Building this 3D range that we just discussed and then seeing it in a virtual digital showroom. That's a very exciting one. We've gotten great feedback already from the customers that we've shared this partnership that we have with Beyond XR. And then, of course, collaboration coming up soon after, and closing with costing. So thank you, everybody, for attending, and we look forward to seeing you again. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.